have a really special guest. As far as I'm concerned, the front runner for State 48 governor seat, Karrin Taylor Robson, is in the house. Thank you for coming down. I love that pink hat.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me. It's a great place to be on a Sunday morning.
You know, we've been doing this for 21 years, and I do my church time on Saturday night. So, you know, it's just, what do you do on Sunday morning? You get up and go to the studio. It's awesome. Thank you so much for taking the time. So, you've got quite a food fight going on with the opposition, and Commissioner Guggenauer's doing a good job for the state, the constituents of Arizona. What is your overall vision for becoming our governor? What are you going to do for the state?
Well, you know, I'm a lifelong native Arizonan. I love this state. I grew up enjoying the outdoors here. And the number one task right now is to keep Arizona, Arizona. We have so many people moving here from other states, and that's fine. I just, they need to leave their politics behind.
Thank you.
We are the official home of the California refugee. We have them coming from, you know, they're emptying out of the blue states and coming to a state that is still free.
Yeah.
There's a reason people are voting with their feet, and so I will do everything that I can. I will bring my decades of experience in the private sector, really fighting against the government. But I will bring that to the table to fight for the people of Arizona.
You have some attributes that I find very positive. You're a hunter. You come from a hunter and shooter, Second Amendment family. Tell us about that.
Well, I do. I grew up out in East Mesa, and we would come home from school, my brother and I, and he would get the shotgun. We'd go out in the backyard, which is now called Las Sendas, and we would go quail hunting. And so that's where we got our start. My parents put us in an NRA firearms safety school when I was in first grade. I was the youngest of 4 siblings, but they wanted us to understand the importance of guns, and have respect for guns and for the Second Amendment. So while I'm not certainly not the best hunter in my family, my father and brother were hunters, and I'm very proud of my son William, who is a hunter. He's he's far more adept with firearms than I am, and he's an accomplished hunter. For his 11th birthday, he said, "Mom, I want you to go squirrel hunting with me." So that was his birthday present.
I smell a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Nice. Yeah, and brother Andy's quite the hunter.
He sure is. He sure is. He and I think my son William is kind of an Andy 2.0. They both would be happy just living out in the desert or out in the forest hunting for their food every day if we let them.
Nice. Well, there's nothing wrong with that. I understand in talking with Kirk Davis, our esteemed longtime commissioner, good friend, heck of a hunter, great outdoorsman. You've got his personal endorsement, so congratulations on that.
Thank you.
What are your thoughts? Obviously, that we've got a big elephant in the room on this border issue. It's getting worse every day. I know you've been down there. I've been down there. James has been there. What are your thoughts? What can you do as governor to curb some of this invasion?
You're right. When I decided to run for governor, I decided I've got to go down there and learn for myself. And I've been down there multiple times with the border sheriffs. And quite frankly, it's worse than you see on TV.
Oh, it's much worse.
It is, it's the national security issues that we all know about. If you don't have a border, you don't have a country. We have people now coming from over 140 countries. 17 of them are on the special interest nation list. Those are countries that don't want to do good things in America. But every time I've gone down there, there's much more. I mean, the human tragedy that's unfolding, where we have people dying in the desert, dying in the back of semis, the sex trafficking and the drugs. If we just focused on the drugs, it's a disaster. In the Biden-Harris administration, it's on their hands because we know how to secure the border. We just are failing to do so from Washington, D.C.
I've got a lot of kudos for Texas Governor Abbott and some of the things that he's done. Are some of your programs going to mirror his activity in part?
He's sending them to Washington, D.C., and I think with the price of gas, we just need to send him to Kamala Harris's front door in L.A.
It's closer.
Yes, it's much closer.
Nancy
Pelosi and Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom wants to give him free health care, so let's just ship him to California. But in all seriousness, I just obtained the endorsement of the U.S. Border Patrol Council,
right,
Arizona Police Association, national troopers, state troopers, local law enforcement across the state, because they've seen my law enforcement plans, they've seen my border plans, and they know I'm the candidate because of my track record of experience in getting things done. They have put their trust and faith in me, and they've been going all out to help me win this race because the stakes are pretty high. If a governor cannot keep the people and property of this state safe, nothing else matters.
Yeah, it's getting pretty tough down there. Commissioner, you had a couple of questions. You want to take the lead on some?
Well, thank you, Don, and thank you for coming in. We appreciate it. My first question isn't a question; it's a comment. And being in the public is it has its really good highs and really good lows. As a commissioner, I've seen this. Don and his work with the public, we see that. So my first comment is to thank you as a conservative to step into this arena, win or lose this thing. I admire your courage as a conservative to step into that public arena and do what you do.
Thank you.
Thank you for that.
Well stated.
Yeah. So I look at your Facebook page every day, and I don't know how you do this. You sit there looking beautiful. I would be like worn out by now. 2 to 3 stops a day. 2 days ago, you were with the vice president and Governor Ducey, then up in Snowflake and Taylor, and then bright and early in the morning, you're here. How do you do it?
You know what? I'm energized by this race because the stakes are so high. I've been so blessed. You know, I've worked since I was a young child, and I thank God every day for those opportunities because it's made me who I am, and it's prepared me for this journey and this task ahead. And so as I travel around the state, the people that I meet, they're great people across this state, but they're angry, they're frustrated, they understand the stakes are high. I had the honor to work for Ronald Reagan at the White House when I was a very young woman out of college. And he would tell us our freedom is one generation away from extinction.
Exactly.
And I don't think we have a generation left. I think we have an election. And the stakes are so high in Arizona. Arizona is now a battleground state. It is not a reliably red state, as it has been for many, many years because of so many people moving here from other states. And so the Republicans in this state need to nominate a candidate who can win in November. And so I now have the good fortune of, not really, of having not only my opponent fighting me and trying to turn me into something I don't recognize, but the Democrats are coming after me now, too, because they know I'm the one that's going to be difficult for them to beat in November.
Yep.
But, I'm energized, and I will go to every corner of the state. We've been to every corner of the state. This afternoon we're going up to northern Arizona again, and we'll just keep going. We will keep going till the polls close on August 2nd to make sure that we can keep Arizona for the great people of this state.
We represent here several factions that actually combined turned into a fairly huge voting bloc. The outdoor recreators, the hunters, the anglers, and the veterans community. So that's basically right now who you're addressing.
Well, can I just give a shout out to the veterans? I mean, what the veterans have done for us, part of my journey here is really to pay it back for the people that came before us, the people willing to put on that uniform every single day to give life and limb so that I could go about my business, build a great career, raise my family, blissfully unaware of many of the dangers that are out there because of what they do. And not just the veterans and the military, but our law enforcement. This is for them.
Absolutely.
And I know that's been instilled. Your father, Carl, and your brother, Andy, both at the state and the county levels. I mean, you were brought up in this environment.
Yes, you're right. And I, Andy keeps telling me this is my turn in the barrel. I'm like, well,
uh-oh.
But, it's a nasty arena. But we live in the most incredible self-governing society ever created by man. Ever. And if we don't participate, we're going to lose it. We will lose it. And it is a responsibility of every American, every Arizonan, to give back somehow. And so, like I said, my life's journey, in particular through my professional career, I understand issues from transportation to water to land management, issues that matter to outdoorsmen and hunters and anglers. I understand these issues. I've battled against the federal government for well over 30 years in my career, and the federal overreach in this state. And so when you have all those life experiences and expertise, it's incumbent on me as a member of a self-governing society to jump in there and do what I can so that the next generation can enjoy the same opportunities that we have all enjoyed.
And at the same time, your work as one of the regents for the state of Arizona, I mean, education, all of us care about that. I mean, you've done some phenomenal things there. One of the things that I liked was each student's going to have some history classes in order to graduate. I thought that was a great inspirational talk that you gave.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I was the chairwoman of the Joe Foss Institute. And I'm sure some of your listeners, in particular the veterans, know Joe Foss was World War II fighter ace, youngest governor of South Dakota, commissioner of the American Football League, conceived of the Super Bowl, was the president of the NRA. Anyway, he and his wife retired here in Arizona, and I had the honor and privilege of serving as the chair of the Joe Foss Institute. And while I was chair, we led the effort in Arizona to get the Civics Education Initiative passed that requires every one of our high school seniors to take the citizenship exam in order to graduate from high school. And after we did it in Arizona, we took our show on the road, and now it's required in 33 states.
Wow.
So we estimate that between 4 and 6 million high school students a year, seniors, have to take that in order to graduate, which is great. I mean, it's a great accomplishment, but it's just a start. We have to continue it.
Right. But what it demonstrates to me is, and here's the difference in the candidates for me, you have one that's visionary and sees those things and sees a need for it and tries to plan for that path forward. And you have another candidate that's more defensive, more reactionary to things that are going on. We need visionary leadership. So that's what I hope there. But I got another hard one for you. So I heard for the shooting community out there that you own a Glock G17 and a Glock G19.
I do.
So for the non-shooting public out there, this is a battle of like a Dodge Ram diesel and a badass Silverado jacked up. What's your preference, a 17 or 19?
I'm in.
I have to admit I'm more proficient with the 19 because I've had it longer. The 17, I'll have to give my son some credit for that, but that's a competition gun that I have not shot as often.
Cool. I got a 19 single stack, and I love it.
Really?
Hey, I just...
That was kind of an ambush question. By the way.
See, you handled that pretty well, huh? For the Game and Fish Commission, and I speak for all of our outdoorsmen here, conserving and protecting wildlife is huge. I love to hear your history hunting quail up in Los Andes, but holding wildlife in a public trust is what the Commission and the Arizona Game and Fish Department are all about. And to make that all happen, we need the governor's office, we need the natural resource subcommittees, we need the Game and Fish, all those agencies working together. And I know that you've been involved in some of that in the background. I wonder if you could just give us some examples of your vision for conserving and protecting wildlife.
Well, you're absolutely right. And Arizona having 83% of our property publicly owned,
Yes,
either
ma'am.
by the state, the feds, or tribal governments, it's a big responsibility. My biggest concern is the federal government and the federal government's continued they hamstring our ability to manage our lands. With all of these designations, from the national monuments to the wilderness areas to, areas with wilderness characteristics, things that limit our access so that we can manage our wildlife, on which I believe we have primary responsibility as a state to manage our wildlife. So I'm most concerned about the federal government and its involvement and how it really hamstrings our ability to do our job. So my vision, and anybody who knows me knows I have this, I'm not a big fan of the federal government. I'll just put it that way. And so I hope that we get an attorney general that can be a partner with me to push back against the ever-increasing reach of the federal government in every aspect of our lives, not the least of which is on our public lands. The other thing that I would like to work on when it comes to federal lands is increasing the PILT payments, the payment in lieu of taxes that the federal government owes this state.
Right.
That formula has not been increased in decades. We need those resources here because those lands are not producing any tax dollars. So again, we have the responsibility for managed wildlife and conservation and everything, but we're not given the appropriate resources from the federal government to do so. So I have grand visions of pushing back against the federal government.
Great. So you're right, states' rights. We want to make sure when it comes to managing wildlife that we have the experts, the people on the ground. We always talk about our people at the department, and a lot of people don't know this, but the wildlife managers, and in statute it's referred to as game rangers, but typically our wildlife managers, they go through the same police academy as any other officer in the state. They're sworn officers just like sheriff's office or any of your metropolitan areas. However, in addition to that, every wildlife manager must have a BS, master's, or doctorate degree in biology or some type of forestry education. So we always say we are the experts. Why not go do that? The other thing is, as you know, Karrin, the Game and Fish Department takes zero tax dollars from the general fund of the taxes in the state. The money for the Game and Fish Department comes from license sales, discretionary funds, if you will, and so the Game and Fish operates more like a business than it does any other agency that's in the state. But you're exactly right. Your idea of conserving, protecting wildlife, and we're talking about terrestrial and aquatics when we speak of wildlife here, is critically important to our state. And we do have good ideas. We just need support from the state and the legislators to keep all that going.
Well, as an industry, I mean, it's well over $1 billion annual impact. to the state of
1.5 billion. Yes, ma'am.
1.5.
It's huge.
With thousands. Last I checked, it was nearly 20,000 jobs are supported by the industry. So,
That's right.
it's not something to be overlooked. It's something that we need to really care about and from a state
Well,
perspective.
Karrin,
support.
one of my major concerns you hit on, we've got to have a strong Attorney General to work in concert with the governor's seat. And we've got, you mentioned public lands and being against federal government. We've got issues, huge issues with BLM and Tracy Manning Stone and her terrorist background and some of the things that are happening on we've got an awful lot of BLM land here. We've got management problems, and there's a time to stand and fight. And we're way past that time. Arizona hasn't been, in my opinion, had the ability to stand and fight. We need to do that right now.
Well, we absolutely do. And I think, President Trump had a long list of accomplishments.
Huge.
I will defend his record all day long. A couple of the notable ones that really mattered to me was him rolling back eight regulations for every one new federal regulation. That was a big deal. As a lawyer, that's what I fought was federal regulation throughout my career. But also his Article 3 judges, 234 federal judges, that's going to give Arizona and other red states an opportunity to push back. And our Supreme Court has already shown us that they are prepared to give power back to the states where it belongs.
Wonderful.
We have forgotten that it was the states that created the federal government. It wasn't the federal government who created the states. So we have this moment of time, and that's why there are 36 governor's races up this year. If we have a red wave and we can put Republican governors, states' rights governors into those with attorneys general around this country, collectively we can really start to move the needle and push back against the federal government.
Outstanding.
Right. If I put my commission chairman hat on for a second, several of us were just up at a conference in Oklahoma City. It was called the Western Association of Fish and Wildlife Agencies, WAFWA. And we listened to other commissioners talk about what their biggest issues are in their states. And it was amazing that 90% of the people that were in that room, their biggest issue was working with their legislators and working with their governors. Here in Arizona, as you know, we're very unique. We have a commission system that is actually appointed by a board, by what we call Commission Appointment Recommendation Board, and then those names are forwarded to the governor to select from. In several other states, it's the governor or the legislators that make those picks. And sometimes, instead of being focused on wildlife, they end up being focused on political aspirations. A couple of years ago in the state of New Mexico, a new governor came in, and one of the first actions was to ask for the resignation of every commissioner that was on their game and wildlife board over there. And they were replaced with political appointees, and they've kind of lost their focus a little bit on wildlife. So this commission system that we call it is important to Arizona. It's important to maintaining wildlife in the state, and wanted to see if you had thoughts on that.
Well, I would agree. It should not be a political arena, right? It is about conservation. It's about, supporting an industry and supporting the wildlife and conserving our wildlife.
Yep.
I would like to say, as a matter of, and it's a political matter, across this country, hunters and anglers don't show up to vote as much as they should. I mean, I've seen some studies in states like Wisconsin and Texas and Arizona where a lot of licensed hunters and fishermen don't vote because they don't think their vote matters. But they do. Collectively, they matter. And so I encourage each and every one of your listeners to make sure to get out there and vote, because your vote does matter.
I would say this on that particular topic, Karrin. The outdoor. I'm close to the outdoor community, as is these two gentlemen, and the mood out there. The hunters, the anglers, were pissed, and we're going to the polls.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. I've been very blessed in my life with a great career, great family, great life. And a lot of people think my friends attempted to stage an intervention, say, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? But I, too, am pissed. And we don't have much time left to save this country.
No, we don't.
I would not be running for governor if Joe Biden wasn't in the White House. The attacks on our freedoms are coming so fast and furious that we all have to step up and, at a minimum, get to the polls.
You mentioned President Trump and the outdoor community. We had such a tremendous success under his administration. We got 5 wildlife refuges open. You were down at some of them.
Yep.
Jim DeVos was there. That was just outstanding. And we hope we can continue to fight. We have to fight the federal government, and we keep hearing, well, we have to play nice with our federal partners. I don't believe that. It's time to stop. It's time to challenge them.
Yeah, I would agree. And this is our moment in time, again, because of what President Trump did with our federal judge appointments.
Yeah.
Okay, we got a couple of minutes to wrap this up. You have the floor. What do you want the folks to know that you haven't stated?
Well,
it's all yours.
I just, we're coming down to crunch time. My campaign has got tremendous momentum. We started the year at 0, and now we have polls that have me ahead. So we just have to keep that momentum for the next 8 days until August 2nd. I encourage everybody to get out to the polls. I have spent 30 years in my professional career as a lawyer, a small businesswoman. I understand the impact of taxation and regulation on Arizona families and our businesses and our companies. This is not a job for on-the-job training.
No.
This is a job for somebody who has a proven track record of getting results. I am an unapologetic conservative. I am who I am. I'm not going to change who I am. I'm not going to change my political party on you. I am a lifelong conservative, and I am ready to lead day one. And I humbly ask for everybody's support. And please, please get to the polls, because it matters.
Hit the ground running, it sounds like to me.
It does. And, I think back over the years, and this is a compliment to Governor Ducey. Every commissioner that is on the commission right now was appointed by Governor Ducey, with the exception of Kurt Davis, who was also appointed by Governor Ducey, but also Governor Brewer. He's been on for so long. But, it's always been this great working relationship with the governor's office. And I know that we'll continue that in the future. I look forward to working with you as governor. And it's just an exciting time. And I didn't realize that hunters and anglers didn't vote, because based on all the input we get when we have a controversy subject before the commission,
Oh,
there are
baby.
a lot of people that are commenting. But I agree with you. If you're an angler or a hunter or outdoors person in the state of Arizona, you need to get out and vote.
You have to. And for what it's worth, I'm going to lend my personal endorsement to you, your campaign, and we will do everything that I have available to push you forward to the great state of Arizona.
Thank you, Don, and thank you all for listening, and please get out there and vote. Thank you.
Absolutely. All righty, we're going to flip into a break here. When we come back, we're going to pick on James Guggenauer.
I'm used to it.
And Justin, I'm Don McDowell.